Hello everyone, my name is Mengyuan Liu, and today I will talk about list in Python. Since the most important feature of list in Python is its mutability, it is important to know how to mutate a list. So, in this tutorial, I will introduce 4 ways to extend a current list. The first one is using the plus operator. The second one is using plus equal operator. The third one is using append method. And the last one is using extend method. For the plus operator, it is pretty easy. So the plus operator concatenates lists in the same way it concatenates strings. But please know that we cannot join a list and something that is not a list, for example, integer. So we can see it through an example. You can see that I create a list named myList, and it contains 1, 2, 3 elements. And then I create another list named otherList, and which contains the other 3 elements, which is 4, 5, 6. And I use the plus operator to concatenate them together. Then we can see the output of this chunk of code. You can see that, which is the result that we are imagined before. However, what is mean by it cannot join a list and something that is not list? Instead of join my list with another list, I want to try join my list with another integer, for example 4, and let's see what we will got. We can see that we got a traceback, and it said there's an tab error, which means that we cannot concatenate an int to a list. So that is what I mean. The plus operator will concatenate 2 lists, but it cannot join a list and something that is not a list. And then I will talk about the plus equal operator. So please think about, is the first chunk of code the shorthand of the second chunk of code? So at first glance, they may be the same, but if we see it more closer, it may not be the same. Let's see the result of this 2 chunks of code by using idle. And first, my list will remain the same, and then I will use only the plus operator to concatenate another list and build another list which contains 4, 5, 6, and only use the plus operator to concatenate these 2 lists together. And what I want to see is to see the memory location of my list before using the plus operator and after I using the plus operator. So I add the ID here. By using the ID method, I can get the memory location of my list. And then we can run the code to see the result. We can see that actually the memory address changed. What that means? So that means when we update a list using the plus operator like this, a new list object is actually created that contains the combined elements of the original list and the new elements we are adding. So what about the first chunk of code produce? Which means, what about we use the plus equal operator? So what will be the address location of that? So we can try by delete this and using the plus equal operator here. And then let's see the change of the ID. Wow, we can see that the ID actually remains the same. So we can came to a conclusion that by using the plus equal operator, it will actually only update a list in place without creating a new object. So what's my point here is that when we want to update a list, which means we don't need the original list, it is better to use the plus equal sign, which is more efficient. Because if we only use the plus operator, the original list is not automatically garbage collected when we update it. The original list object will still exist in the memory until there are no references to it. Then it will be collected by the Python garbage collector. So then I will talk about the append method. The append method can add a single element to the end of a list. So let's try it. Please note, the append method can only add an element to the original list. So what I will do is my list.append, and I want to add an element 4 at the end of my original list. So let's see what will happen. Then it works. So it can add a new element at the end of the original list. But what if I want to add a list to my original list, and the new list actually contains more than one element? What should I do? Then we will need to use another method named extend. The extend method can add multiple elements to the end of a list. So if let's name it another list, and this list contains more than one element, which are 4, 5, 6, and then I can use the extend method to append the another list to my list. So the variable inside the parentheses should be another list. Then we can see the result. Ta-da! It works. It actually adds 3 more elements to our original list, which is the same as our imagined result. Then let's think about what if we want to add a list of elements to the original list by using append method. What will happen now? So let's try it. If I, instead of using extend here, we use append here to append another list to my list, will I get the same result as before? Let's try. Wow, it seems that the Python treat the new element, treat the another list as a new element, as a whole element, and then append the whole element to my original list. So my original list will be appended by a new element, which is a list, instead of 3 elements. And another note here is that the extend method can be used with any iterable object, not just lists. For example, we can use extend method to add the elements of a tuple or a string to a list. So what's that mean? So we already know the extend method can concatenate 2 lists together, right? So I want to try now. Can it concatenate a string with a tuple? So let's try. From the result, we can get a conclusion that we actually get the same result as before we concatenate 2 lists together. And if I concatenate my list with a string, so what I will got, and this string is name 456. Another 3. Let's name it another 3. What we will got this time? Wow, so the 456, Python actually treat them as 3 string elements. And this is what I mean. We can use the extend to add elements of a tuple or a string to a list. And both tuple and string are iterable object. So then we comes to the end of my tutorial. The main takeaways of this tutorial is, first, we will want to update a list, which means we don't need an original list. It is always better to use the plus equal sign, which is more efficient. And then I introduced 2 methods, which are append and extend. They are methods to update a list in place without creating a new object. And please know that append method can only add an element to the original list, while the extend method can add a list of new elements to the original list. And the last point is that the extend method can not only add a list of new elements to the original list, it can also concatenate the original list with any iterable object, which we have tried before, that it can concatenate the list with tuple or with a string. So this is my tutorial. Hope this will be helpful. Thank you.